Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and today Apple released a new AirPods Pro firmware update, bringing it to version 7A294. This is for the AirPods Pro 2nd generation with both USB-C and Lightning as well. So it's only available to the public right now for these particular AirPods. However, it's for preparation of iOS 18. So iOS 18 brings some new features and changes. Unfortunately, there's no firmware update available for AirPods Pro, AirPods 3, AirPods 2, or AirPods Max. Maybe they'll release it a little bit later, but most of the features are on AirPods Pro 2 anyway. Now, in order to check the version that you currently have installed, well, if we go to the AirPods 3, we'll just open these up as an example, connect them to my iPhone. This is running iOS 18 RC. We'll go into the AirPods 3 that doesn't have a firmware update, and if you just go into your AirPods, scroll to the bottom, you'll see the current version. I've already updated my AirPods Pro 2, and the actual Lightning version came out before the USB-C version. So it did take some time to actually install after many people realized the update was out. So if we go back in here, scroll to the bottom, you'll see the latest version of 7A294. That's the current version that Apple released today, and we have a case version, at least my case is currently at 70.88.0. So that's the current versions I have that brings the new iOS 18 features. Now, if you're wondering how to install this is a little bit tricky. If you were running the betas, you'll need to turn that off. So let's go into the developer settings. If you are running the beta, I'll go on a different phone that's running that. You'll see it's not here in my settings. Now I have my AirPods connected to a device with the developer settings. This actually had to be enabled using Xcode. And if we scroll down to the bottom of settings, you'll see it here. And again, if we scroll to the bottom of developer settings, we have pre-release beta firmware for AirPods testing. You'll need to make sure this is turned off for your AirPods that you're actually testing out. And once it is, then you can actually just wait for them to update. Now, typically, in order for them to update, what I do is basically put them in my ears, connect them to my device, listen to a little bit of music. Then once it's playing, I'll just take them out of my ears, put them in the case, close it, set it next to my iPhone, lock the iPhone, and walk away. Usually within 5 to 15 minutes, they'll update on their own. And then the next time I open them up, go back into them, they typically are connected. So again, we'll wait for them to connect. There we go. We'll scroll to the bottom and then they'll just be updated. Unfortunately, there's no update button and it's not very easy to do. Now, as far as new features, well, if we go to Apple's website about firmware updates for AirPods, scroll down, you can see the latest firmware versions here with 7A294. We have a long paragraph here with a few sentences explaining what's actually new. Instead of just bug fixes and other improvements, they're actually telling us what's new with this update. So the first thing that's new has to do with when you receive an incoming notification or call, or maybe a message from Siri from someone else or a different app, you'll actually have the ability to nod your head yes or no to respond to that. This works pretty well and needs to be enabled. If you go into your settings for your AirPods again, you'll see it looks a little bit different for noise control, but if we scroll down, we actually have an option for this for head gestures. If we go into head gestures and it's enabled, you can actually nod your head up and down or left to right. When you actually turn this on for the first time, it will sort of walk you through how this works, and then you can customize this for accept, reply, or decline, dismiss. This works really well and actually sounds like there's a little ball rolling around inside the AirPods when you're trying to respond to these notifications. And so what I mean by that is maybe you're responding yes, you'll hear this ball bounce around in your AirPods. It's just a sound they've added that uses the motion accelerators or accelerometers, and it sounds great. You nod your head left or right to say no, and you can hear a ball bouncing back and forth. It's pretty great. Sounds sort of like a pinball bouncing around, and works great. It's a great way to let you know you're actually making the movement and making it work. Additionally, the AirPods now have voice isolation when on a call. So similar to what the phone can do, it's specific to AirPods Pro 2 now. So not only do you have noise cancellation here, but when you're on a phone call, let's try that out. When you're on a phone call with the latest update, just go into your control center, tap on your phone controls, and you now have the option for standard, voice isolation, or automatic. You can change that back and forth, and you'll either see wide spectrum if it's available, but voice isolation is the new one, working directly from the AirPods themselves. Something else they've added is low latency for games. So if you're playing games on your iPhone or iPad, you actually now have low latency enabled and improved 16-bit 48 kilohertz audio when chatting with teammates and other players. So that's something they've added. They've also added improvements to personalized volume. So you'll see some new controls here in iOS 18. You can enable that and it will adjust the volume of media in response to your environment. So this works pretty good, but I prefer noise cancellation on its own. So those are the major improvements, of course, with some of the adaptive audio settings that we get with iOS 18 and some changes here. But in general, those are the major changes. However, Apple did mention some new changes coming soon that are pending FDA approval. So if we go to Apple's website here, scroll over, these have to do with hearing health. You'll see it says coming this fall. And if you scroll down, it will say that it's coming this fall in an update. But basically, you'll have a hearing test feature as well as a hearing aid feature. So you can test your hearing by tapping on the screen when it goes back and forth. Now, we may need another firmware update for the AirPods for this. But again, if we scroll down, it'll give results for your hearing aid test, and then you can actually enable them as a clinical grade hearing aid option. So this is something, again, that's coming a little bit later that isn't here just yet. If you go into the Health app, you'll see the same thing. So if we go into Health here, we don't see any updates here just yet, but if we go to Browse and go to Hearing, we have different information about hearing health and different loud noises with understanding hearing loss and much more. So this is great. It's coming a little bit later, but again, may require a different firmware update or may just work with this and it's not enabled just yet. A few things I wanted to mention when using this, you may have already noticed how fast it connects to everything. So just opening and closing, it connects really fast to my device. You'll see it's already connected here. Connected already. And additionally, switching between devices is super fast. So if we go over to the iPad here, now if I hit play on the iPad, you'll see it's already playing here. It's up in the upper right. But if I go back to the iPhone, hit play, it switches right away. Again, I'll go back to the iPad, it switches again. It's super fast in switching. It works with a Mac, works with iPad or iPhone. I haven't noticed any difference as far as overall battery life. It seems to work just as well as I would expect. And noise cancellation throughout using the betas, while I'm not sure it's any different now, has been really phenomenal. I use these to mow the lawn and I can barely hear the tractor. So I'll listen to music or a podcast while mowing the lawn and use my AirPods Pro 2, and they definitely cancel noise pretty well. The only catch is you need to make sure that it's not on adaptive audio, as it will sort of reduce different sounds based on that. I turn all of this on, just turn on noise cancellation, and it takes care of the overall issue. So in general, this should be a big improvement. We'll see improvements with AirPods 4 with personalized spatial audio and noise cancellation there as well. Overall sound quality remains mostly the same. Now from the betas, it actually seemed to improve a little bit. So if you're not on one of the betas and you're installing this for the first time, you may notice some more pronounced bass. It just seems to be pretty decent overall, but I wouldn't expect any changes too much there. It's mostly with the latest features with noise cancellation working a little bit better. The only downside I've seen is when using these with a Mac, I've edited some videos and sometimes they sort of start to lose their overall bitrate or connectivity, kind of crackle a little bit, and then they'll reconnect just fine. Or I can disconnect them from the Mac, place them back in my ears, and they work just fine. That's only in that specific scenario though. So maybe I have too many Bluetooth devices around, or it's just something to do with that. It doesn't happen on other AirPods, such as the AirPods Max, but it will on the other ones that go in your ears. One thing I would love to see Apple update is the ability to update your AirPods directly from this app, or at least this menu. When there's a new update available, it could let you know here, and then you could just update. Initially, these updates were only available for the Lightning version. I have USB-C, so it was a little bit difficult to get them to update. So hopefully they'll do that in the future where they'll just tell us what we need to do to get them to update. Maybe we'll see that in a near future update. I've been asking for this for years. It seems pretty reasonable, and I would like to see that with things such as the Apple Pencil as well. We had an update for that as well today. Other than that, though, I think it's a pretty good update for the AirPods Pro 2. They keep getting better, and so far it doesn't look like we're having a replacement. Unfortunately, we did get some new colors for the AirPods Max, but they haven't changed anything internally, it seems. But maybe we'll get some surprises in the future with a change there. Either way, I'm excited for what Apple has with AirPods 4. Let me know if you've seen any other changes with this latest update with the firmware. I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. I'll link this wallpaper in the description like I normally do, and if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe, and if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.